If there is a traitor in Fromville, the first mistake is imagining someone standing in a dark room, fully aware of what they are doing, secretly working for the monsters. That would be too simple for From. The town does not usually need people to be evil. It needs them afraid, desperate, isolated, or convinced that the horrible thing they are doing is actually the one thing that might save everyone. That is why the best way to talk about a potential traitor is not to ask who looks suspicious in the obvious way. It is to ask who the town can use. Case in point, Sarah. Sarah is the cleanest example of what a traitor looks like in this show because she actually does betray people. She kills Toby. She leaves the clinic door open, which gets Kenny's father killed. She tries to kill Ethan because the voices tell her that this is the price of saving everyone. On paper, that makes her one of the worst people in town. She is not just confused. She takes real action. People die because of her. But the comment on Sarah is more complicated than just calling her evil. The important thing about Sarah is that she does not behave like someone who enjoys betrayal. She behaves like someone being cornered by something that understands exactly where to press. The voices do not come to her with a random command. They make the command feel meaningful. They make it sound like sacrifice. They make it sound like there is a terrible equation behind the town, and if she kills the right person, the rest might go home. That matters because it gives us the basic Fromville traitor model. A traitor in this show is not necessarily someone who hates the group. It is someone who believes the group has to suffer for a bigger escape. Sarah's betrayal is built on obedience. She becomes dangerous because she thinks she has been chosen to understand something everyone else is too weak to accept. That is why Sarah is not my number one pick for the future traitor. She already served that function. Her story is basically the town showing us its method. It can take a normal person and make her do something unforgivable by wrapping the act in fear, guilt, and the promise of rescue. After Nathan dies, Sarah is too broken to be the same kind of weapon again. She can still be useful to the town, and she can still hear things others cannot, but emotionally she is no longer the perfect believer. The town had her, used her, and left her with nothing. Case in point, Elgin. Elgin is probably the best current example of a potential traitor because his betrayal does not come from cruelty. It comes from faith. That is what makes him more dangerous than Sarah in some ways. Sarah knows she is doing something ugly. Elgin seems to believe he is doing something sacred. His connection to the kimono woman builds slowly. He has dreams before he even arrives. He keeps seeing things. He is not just reacting to the town after getting trapped there, he feels marked by it before he understands it. That already puts him in a dangerous position because people who think they were meant to be in Fromville are much easier to manipulate than people who simply want to leave. The clearest case is what happens with Fatima. Elgin hides her away because he believes the kimono woman is guiding him towards something important. He does not frame it as kidnapping. He frames it as protection. Even when Fatima is terrified, even when the situation clearly looks wrong from the outside, he keeps trusting the thing that chose him. That is the betrayal pattern again. The town does not need him to say, I am helping the monsters. It only needs him to say, you do not understand. This has to happen. That is why Elgin is one of the strongest traitor candidates. He has the exact weakness the town loves. He wants meaning. He wants his fear to be part of a plan. He wants the nightmare to have a purpose. People like Boyd resist the town because they hate being controlled. People like Jade resist it because they keep questioning. Elgin is different. He is vulnerable to revelation. He can be made to believe that a vision is a calling. The comment here is that Elgin is not dangerous because he is secretly bad. He is dangerous because he is sincere. In From, sincerity can be worse than malice. A malicious person might hesitate if the cost gets too high because they still know what they are doing. A true believer can keep going long after the evidence turns against him. Elgin can look at a suffering person and convince himself that the suffering is necessary. That is exactly how Fromville manufactures betrayal. Case in point, Fatima. Fatima is not a traitor in the normal sense, but she is one of the most dangerous people to watch. Her case is strange because she starts as one of the people most connected to life in the town. She is warmth, comfort, community. She is one of the few people who makes Colony House feel like something other than a waiting room for death. That is why what happens to her is so disturbing. The town does not just attack a weak point, it corrupts one of the emotional centers of the group. When Fatima begins changing, the horror is not only physical, it is social. She becomes a secret people have to protect. Boyd and Ellis hide the truth. Other people are left outside the real story. The group becomes split between what is known, what is suspected, and what is being covered up. That is exactly the kind of division the town feeds on. Her killing of Tilly is one of the strongest cases against her. If someone wants to call her a traitor, but I do not think that reading is quite right. Fatima does something terrible, but the act comes from panic and transformation, not allegiance. She is not choosing the town over the people. Something is happening through her. That makes her dangerous, but it does not make her the same kind of threat as Elgin or Sarah. The comment on Fatima is that she might become a weapon without becoming a traitor. That difference matters. A traitor makes a choice, even a manipulated one. Fatima seems more like a vessel, a person whose body and fear are being turned into a doorway for something else. If the town can use her, it will not need her permission. That makes her terrifying, but also tragic. She may be blamed for things she never truly wanted. Case in point, Randall. Randall is not the most obvious traitor, but he is one of the easiest people to break in the right direction. From the moment he arrives, he does not trust the structure of the town. He does not accept Boyd's authority. He does not accept Donna's authority. He looks at the rules and sees a setup. In some ways, that instinct is understandable. Fromville is insane. Any normal person would wonder whether someone is lying. The problem is that Randall's suspicion has no discipline. He does not investigate like Jade, where the paranoia at least turns into patterns and questions. Randall's suspicion turns into aggression. He wants someone to blame. That is why his obsession with Donna becomes important. When he thinks she might be part of the larger trap, he is not just wrong. He becomes useful to the town because his fear creates conflict inside the group. That is the traitor risk with Randall. He is the kind of person who could be pushed into betraying people while believing he is exposing the truth. If a voice, vision, or piece of staged evidence convinced him that Boyd or Donna were lying, he could justify almost anything. He would not call it betrayal. He would call it taking action while everyone else is too scared. The comment on Randall is that he represents the conspiracy version of betrayal. Sarah is religious obedience. Elgin is spiritual faith. Randall is paranoid rebellion. All three can lead to the same place. The town only has to give each person the kind of lie they are most likely to believe. Case in point, Donna. Donna is one of the most popular secret traitor theories because she is powerful, guarded, and sometimes too comfortable with survival. She controls Colony House. She knows how to keep people in line. She has seen enough that she does not react like a newcomer anymore. In a show like From, that automatically makes people suspicious. Anyone who understands the town too well starts to look like they might belong to it. The best case against Donna is not one specific smoking gun. It is the way she sometimes resists too much change. She wants order. She wants rules. She wants people to stop chasing theories if those theories might destroy the little stability they have left. To someone like Jim, Jade, or Randall, that can look like sabotage. If everyone is trapped and one person keeps telling them to calm down, it is easy to wonder whether that person has a reason to keep them trapped. But I do not buy Donna as the traitor. Her behavior makes more sense as trauma than conspiracy. Donna has lost people. Colony House gets massacred. She has to clean up the consequences when people are careless. Her harshness is not proof that she serves the town. It is proof that she has learned survival through damage. She is not trying to preserve Fromville because she loves the prison. She is trying to preserve the few pieces of order that stop people from tearing each other apart before the monsters even arrive. The comment on Donna is that the show wants us to feel the temptation of suspecting her. She is the authority figure who does not explain herself gently, so she becomes easy to doubt. But a real traitor usually creates more direct movement for the town's agenda. Donna usually does the opposite. She slows people down, yes, but often because she knows panic gets people killed. Case in point, Victor. Victor is suspicious for a different reason. He knows too much and says too little. He has survived longer than anyone. He has drawings, memories, rules, and half explanations that he keeps buried until the worst possible moment. In a mystery show, that kind of character always feels like he might be hiding something essential. But Victor does not feel like a traitor. He feels like a child who survived by breaking his own memory into pieces. His secrecy does not come from loyalty to the town. It comes from fear. He is not withholding information because he wants people trapped. He withholds it because remembering is dangerous to him. Every answer costs him something. The comment on Victor is that he is a bad communicator, not a villain. He may accidentally hurt people by not speaking clearly, but that is different from betrayal. If anything, Victor is proof of how long the town's damage lasts. He is what happens when someone survives the nightmare but never really leaves the moment that destroyed him. Case in point, Boyd. Boyd as a traitor sounds wrong at first because he is the closest thing the town has to a protector. But that is exactly why he should be discussed. The town keeps targeting him because if Boyd breaks, the whole structure breaks with him. He is sheriff, father, leader, symbol, and emotional shield. He is the person people look at when they need to believe the town still has rules. The risk with Boyd is not that he secretly works for the monsters. The risk is that he may start making choices that only make sense to him. He already carries too much, he hides things, he makes executive decisions, he takes on guilt privately, and that can become dangerous because nobody can fully check him when he believes he is protecting everyone. The best example is how he handles Fatima after Tilly's death. Boyd's instinct is not transparency. It is containment. He wants to protect his family and control the situation before it explodes. Emotionally, that makes sense. Strategically, it is risky. The more Boyd hides, the more Fromville gets what it wants: mistrust, confusion, and a leader whose moral authority becomes easier to question. The comment on Boyd is that he is not a traitor, but he could become the town's most valuable compromised person. If the town can force Boyd into one unforgivable decision, it does more damage than if it corrupts someone people already distrust. Boyd does not need to join the evil side. He only needs to make everyone wonder whether his protection is still protection. That is why the real answer might not be one traitor at all. Fromville may not have a permanent mole. It may create temporary traitors whenever it needs them. Sarah for the killings, Elgin for Fatima, Randall for chaos, Boyd for cover ups, Fatima as a vessel. Each person becomes useful in a different way, and the town moves through them like pressure moving through cracks. Still, if I had to choose one person as the strongest potential traitor, my answer is Elgin. Elgin has the clearest combination of belief, secrecy, and supernatural contact. Sarah was used before, but she now understands too much pain to blindly obey the same way. Randall can be manipulated, but he is unstable and messy. Fatima is dangerous, but mostly because something is happening to her. Donna looks suspicious, but her behavior is too grounded in survival. Boyd can be compromised, but his whole character is built around resisting the town even when it costs him. Elgin is different because he can still mistake manipulation for destiny. That is the key. He can be gentle and still do something monstrous. He can be scared and still keep going. He can look like a victim while functioning as an agent of the town. That is exactly the kind of traitor from Woodwright, because the betrayal would hurt more if the person doing it genuinely believed he was helping. My opinion is that Fromville's traitor is probably not going to be revealed as some cartoon villain who has known the truth from the beginning. The show is more interested in how people get bent. The town studies people. It learns what they want. Sarah wanted to save her brother and escape. Elgin wanted his visions to mean something. Randall wants someone to blame. Boyd wants to protect everyone without admitting how impossible that job has become. So the most dangerous person in Fromville is not the person who looks the most evil. It is the person who can be convinced that evil is necessary. That is why Elgin is my main pick. Not because he is the worst person, but because he is the most believable kind of traitor for this show. Soft spoken, frightened, chosen by something he does not understand, and willing to hurt people because he thinks the nightmare is finally giving him instructions.